What is the stance toward Brexit in non-EU countries? China's foreign ministry said Beijing hopes the UK's exit can happen in an orderly way. It urged the EU to reduce hurdles to Chinese investment and keep its markets open. China has also promised to examine reaching a top-notch free trade deal with the UK post-Brexit. In the US, President Donald Trump has shown support for Brexit, but in a recent interview disapproved of Theresa May's negotiation strategy. He said, quote, "I would have done it differently. I actually told Theresa May how to do it, but she did not agree. She didn't listen to me." As for Japan, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe earlier said the world did not want to see a disorderly Brexit and that he fully supported May's withdrawal deal. Right, now back to our guest, Mr. Liu, that many reports say that companies from major trading countries with the UK are beginning to move their headquarters either to the EU or actually moving them elsewhere in a bit to avoid the possible fallout of a negative fallout, especially of a Brexit, especially disorderly Brexit. How do you think the Chinese business in Britain, do you think they need to follow suit?
I think it's really a challenge for the Chinese firms who have invested in the United Kingdom. Actually, after the referendum in 2016, I was in London talking about representatives of Chinese firms, and I learned that the economic environment in UK is really good. Chinese firms allow the efficient and safe financial supervision because London is the financial center, and the economic policies are flexible in United Kingdom, and the UK is also pro-free trade. So UK has a lot of advantage as an economic bloc. So most Chinese firms think it's not.
Chinese business will keep status quo. How about the general policy toward Britain after Brexit? Do you think China and other major trading nations have a plan in place to deal with Brexit?
Yes, the business hates the uncertainties caused by the Brexit, but I think though even there is a disorder Brexit, it won't last forever. Eventually there will be a trade agreement, economic relationship, will be strike between UK and European Union. So I think it's too early for the business who have invested in United Kingdom to move out. They can wait and see what the future relations will look like. But if you want to invest more in United Kingdom, you need to think again.
Right, as what Mr. Liu, that many companies are moving away from Britain, or the new businesses will think again about investing in the UK. How do you think Brexit will influence the future economy of Britain in the short term and long term?
Well, the biggest problem is there's a lot of uncertainty, and people in business do not like uncertainty. But there again,
the uncertainty is going where, to something good or something bad?
Well, always we work towards something good, because without people trading together and working together, things fall apart. I'm saying Brexit is not the first time it's happened in Europe. 500 years ago, Henry VIII, he decided to withdraw from Rome and the rest of Europe, and there have been very many wars in between, and of course the worst ones in World War II. So Europe is there to stop, the European Union is there to stop wars. But the big problem is, if people don't work together, it isn't going to work. And if people don't have a common goal, it's not going to work. I think the UK democratically decided to leave Europe because of let's say, some of the problems of the way it's directed or it's used. And if in a democracy, one has to do what the people want to do. But, of course, people do change their minds. So whether we go into an election, whether we go into another referendum, or whether we go into another New Deal, remains to be seen. But the important thing is we need confidence. We need, stability.
Right, and most people are blaming Theresa May for the current chaos of Brexit, indeed. But to be fair, can the entire political class in Britain escape the blame? They have gone through 2 years of reaching this deal, talking about this deal, but they couldn't agree on anything, and this deal was rejected at all by the Parliament. Do you think a big statement on all the political parties in Britain?
Well, the first thing I must say is Great Britain is a great country, and Northern Ireland, lovely people. The politicians, unfortunately, don't get it sometimes. They're voted into power to look after the people, but the big problem is they all have their own vested interests. Now, doesn't mean to say that they don't do their best for the people of UK, but the big problem is if they don't look after themselves as well, they don't have a job, and that's a big problem. There's diverse interests, and so if they don't have the interests of the people directly in mind, they become very, let's say, self-centred, and become very tribal with their parliament, with the parties, with the similar, and people just don't work for the good of the country.
I mean, that's what I mean. What I was trying to say, indeed, are they fighting for their own interests, for their own power, or are they fighting for the public good?
Well, the government is in power to stay in power, no matter all over the world. That's the same situation. They should bear in mind the interest of the people. When you have a general election in the UK, that's when all the problems come to light, and that's where people try to satisfy, make promises and what have you. And of course, when people are in power, it doesn't necessarily happen. But give Theresa May her due, even though it was only 50% who voted to leave Europe and 48% wanted to stay, she has carried out the democracy of the people to her best ability. But unfortunately, it hasn't worked because of so many diverse interests.
Indeed. And Mr. Liu, Britain is now divided and EU is now divided. What kind of impact will that bring to international global trading system and trading environment, given it's already suffering from the rising protectionism and nationalism?
I think the Brexit will add more negative factors to the international trading system, because we are already suffering from the trade protectionism. And for the Brexit process, we are facing so many uncertainties. We don't even know what will happen in the end of March this year. And the economic situation in Eurozone and UK, we have observed signs of slowing down. That will be negative signs, because if your economy slow down, you will cause the protectionism in European Union and UK. And for when UK leaves the European Union, he has to trigger many negotiations with economic partners. This will bring a lot of troubles and uncertainties. As generally, it will bring negative factors to the trading system.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Mr. William Spears, Chairman of Spearhead China Limited and Executive Committee Member of the British Chamber of Commerce in China, and also Mr. Liu Mingli, Deputy Director, European Studies at the China Institute of Contemporary International Relations. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your insight.